Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great episode. Hopefully, it's great of Uncanny Media, the show. And it's me, your friend, your buddy, your pal, your family. It's me, it's Spider. And if I haven't become a member of your family yet, what's stopping you? I would love to show up to your family reunion, have some food, fill up a plate, play bingo, shuffleboard, whatever you do. What do you do at family reunions? At my family reunions, we played bingo. We played bingo. This was on my mom's side. My dad's side didn't often have family reunions. I don't really understand. I say I don't understand why, but that's not really accurate. I don't really know why because I never really asked. We would very rarely have some kind of a get together. But I think it's because we saw each other all the time. Like my dad's family lived really close together for the most part. We had my aunt and uncle down the street. We had another aunt and uncle across the road. We had another uncle farther up the road. My grandparents moved to Kentucky when I was young, but they would come up and visit all the time. We had other aunts and uncles and cousins and assorted people that we would see pretty regularly. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe we didn't think we didn't need a family reunion on that side. I've never really asked. I don't remember ever going to a family reunion on my dad's side, which is interesting. My dad's side has always been a bit more stoic, though. Like, we all will visit each other on holidays and things like that, but we don't party together, you know? Whereas my mom's side is more jovial. They're looking for an excuse to have a gathering, to have a meal, to do something. Let's all get together and do this. And so we had family reunions fairly regularly up until a few years ago, to be honest. Um, like I said, they'd play bingo. My One of my aunts would have a little container that would have the lettered balls in it. So you would reach in, you'd pick a ping pong ball, and it would have the letter B, or it would have the I, or the whatever, for bingo. And so at the last family reunion that we actually had, because I went with my daughter and my wife, they passed on all the bingo stuff to me. They were like, "Hey, are you gonna, if we keep doing the reunions, you want to be the keeper of the bingo? You got to bring it every year." And I was like, "Oh well, I guess so. I don't know." And I guess she'd been trying to pass it off to anybody because she wasn't really looking to take care of it anymore. She was moving on from being the keeper of the bingo, so she wanted somebody else. And I was the sucker that fell for it. But I was like, "All right, yeah, that's fine." So I got a bunch of the bingo prizes, like a bunch of things wrapped up, and I got the machine and I got all that. And we haven't had a family reunion since. So I don't know. I think because my grandparents on that side had passed on and some of the more notable uncles and aunts had passed on, and I think maybe the motivation to put it all together kind of started falling away, unfortunately. I don't know. There were rumors, I guess, of some kind of family politics going on at the time, but I was pretty oblivious to all that. I'm usually oblivious to that kind of stuff. Like in my family, my core family, beyond just my wife and my daughter, we've got my mom and dad, and we've got my sisters. I have three sisters, and I see my one younger sister occasionally at Thanksgiving or different things. We've gone over there recently because she's the one who is taking care of the kittens that we found in my yard. She's the one who's making sure that they get fostered and they go up to it for adoption. So we've gone to visit the kittens until they're ready to get adopted. So we've seen her relatively often. I haven't seen my older sister in a long time. I guess there was some kind of family drama with her. I don't know. I don't know what it was. And if she hears this podcast, I'm not trying to besmirch. I'm not trying to, cast aspersions or make stuff up. I don't know. I only know the briefest mention of what people said, and I don't know, but we don't see her too often. My youngest sister lives in Las Vegas, so that's a bit of a distance from here in Ohio. So we don't see her a lot. I hear a lot about what she's going through and what's going on, but we don't get to see her too much. But so, I mean, family things happen. I had a rough time with my family, and a lot of that was me, I think. I think I just chafed at different things involving my family, and I can't say that that was fair necessarily on my part. I think maybe as I've grown older, I've realized a lot more things about how much I was the problem in different situations. You know what I mean? And so my relationship with my family is better now that we're not right next to each other, now that we don't live together. And I've had time to reflect and all that good stuff, and I've become a different person, and I have my own life now, and I think I get along better with my family now, but I don't know if they feel like I'm very approachable all the time, I guess would be the way I would say it. I don't know. It's a weird situation for me. I don't know. It's very vulnerable for me to come out and talk about it like that all that often. But I don't dislike my family. I want that to be said. I do not dislike my family in any way. I don't go out of my way to avoid my family either. It's just we all live really far apart, and I've fallen into practicalities, the practicalities of long distance driving and the cost of gasoline and all that other kind of stuff. And I guess I don't know. Maybe I lean too far into that, and I should make more of an effort to see various family members than I do. Maybe it's still my fault. I don't know. I'm willing to accept that. I am willing to accept that it is still my fault, and perhaps I am estranged because of what I do. I don't know. I don't know. And I laugh, but I don't. It's not funny particularly. It's just I don't know. There's a little bit of absurdity about it, you know. Yeah, I'm still coughing. I don't know. There's something in my chest. The wife thinks it's I've developed allergies. Thinks I've developed seasonal allergies, and that may be a possibility. I've got allergy medicine that I take occasionally. It's I hate taking more medicine. I don't like taking more medicine because remember I've talked about it before on the show. I'm not shy about it. I'm not glorifying it. It's something that happened that was part of my growing up. I had a pill problem many years ago. It's been 20 plus years now since I've been over it, so I feel pretty good about it. But I don't like to tempt myself, just in case there's something in the back of my mind that's like, this one was pretty good. Maybe we could just have another. Oh, and that one was pretty good. Let's have another. Because I know that's how I used to feel. I used to feel like, oh, if I took this thing, I felt okay. Let's have some more. Oh, I still feel okay. Let's have some more. And I would have too much of different things, and I wouldn't care because I didn't feel bad. And even though it was tearing up my insides and things, and it's a deep, dark part of my personality way back in my brain that I always feel like is waiting for me to drop my guard. So I try not to take a lot of medicines. I take vitamins. I do take vitamins because vitamins aren't designed to take away pain or to numb things or to do, they're just meant to help you feel healthier. So I take vitamins and that's fine. I'm taking like 3 vitamins right now, which is fine. I still feel like that's a lot, but it's not. It's all to help my liver function better and to help my mind function better. It's not chemicals. It's not things that are prescribed. It's not a medication. because I don't trust medications so much. I mean, I have to take them sometimes, like when I'm sick. I take my cold and sinus medicine. But I don't like to take that just indefinitely forever. And the allergy medicine, I feel like, is kind of in that category. I don't know. It doesn't make me feel weird. That you take one a day. Okay, you don't take a bunch of them. You don't take multiple doses. You take one a day. And I've stuck to that, and sometimes I haven't taken them in a day because I don't think of it or I forget. So, but they don't make me feel weird. They don't make me feel trippy. They don't make me feel, I don't feel differently mentally on the allergy medicine. But I don't want that to change, right? I don't want to suddenly feel like, oh, this allergy medicine is making me feel amazing. It's doing something in my brain. And I don't, they're not supposed to. I mean, they're allergy medicine. They're not supposed to affect that kind of chemistry, but I'm antsy about it. And I don't care for it. I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to be tempted. That was a whole lot of existential stuff just to start the show with, right? I had family stuff and drug stuff and just whatever. Wow. Let's just throw a bunch of stuff at you right when you come in here. We are on schedule this week. We are on schedule. Last week I just let the days get away from me and I just for some reason didn't record on Tuesday night like I was supposed to, and I had to record on Wednesday night and put the episode out on Thursday. So that usually doesn't happen. This week we're on track. You're going to be hearing this episode Wednesday morning as it debuts, unless you tune in later in the week. I don't. You may hear it anytime. I don't know. Any day of the week, any day of the month. You might hear this next year. You might not discover this podcast until 3 years from now. But it's on schedule as I'm recording it. As I am recording it, it's on schedule. And we had it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Like the latter part of last week, after I'd recorded the episode, towards the end of the week, we had smoke, visible, hazy, stinking smoke filling my neighborhood. And that's because of this year's edition of the Canadian wildfires. Now, this is an interesting topic. You wouldn't think it's that interesting, but there's a lot going on with this. Now, not every year, but every couple of years, every so often, there Canada has vast forested regions. It's how it is. It's like here in the United States, in our northern areas and uh, in certain parts of the country, we have vast wooded areas. Okay. And anytime you have vast areas of woodlands that aren't filled with people living in them, they're just basically there and they're protected sometimes or otherwise, whatever. You have wildfires depending on the weather and the climate every so number of years because that's kind of what the planet does. In the Amazon, they have wildfires in South America, in Africa, in wildfires are a thing that happen either from just storms because lightning can strike the trees and cause fire and that happens, or just from a drought and excess heat. Um, and a lot of times wildfires, uh, I'm going to talk about this in a few different ways. And I want you to make sure you understand where I'm coming from with it. Okay. On certain levels, wildfires are good. Now, before you get upset and up in arms, like, how could you say that it's burning down all this forest? Before people even had society, before we had civilization, before we had cities of any kind, before any of that, in primordial days when there was mostly forests across the planet, wildfires happened. And they happened and they generally caused, after the fact, positive effects. They would clear out dead wood, they would clear out areas that had become overgrown, and they would enrich the soil with the ash and the various, stuff that goes into when fire burns the wood and all that kind of stuff, right? So wildfires, as they are something that are kind of necessary to help replenish forested regions. Because again, it enriches the soil, it clears out dead areas. Okay? Basically, not a bad thing. Sometimes people can cause the wildfires, which is unfortunate. Most of the time, that's negative. Like if a person is going camping and they don't pay attention to their campfire, and then they cause a wildfire out of season or even in season in a dangerous time. Um, Occasionally, people will cause a wildfire because they are trying to do a controlled burn in a particular area of forest because they can see, hey, this area is overgrown, it's unhealthy, we've got to do a controlled burn so that the forest can replenish itself, right? It's a thing. And sometimes that gets out of control. And sometimes people don't do controlled burns when they should, and that causes wildfires naturally that are more problematic. And the issue is that because we live here now, because humans live in large parts of the planet, wildfires cause us inconvenience and pain and issues and different things, right? Um, and in our typical human outlook, we see all wildfires as bad because we live next to them and they're causing smoke that chokes us, they're causing damage to our homes and various things. And I'm not unsympathetic. People have to live somewhere. I get it. There's so many people on the planet, like 6, 7 billion people, possibly more. You gotta live somewhere. Sometimes you gotta live in the woods, or on the edge of the woods, or wherever. And a wildfire that goes out of control can easily get into civilized areas and burn down homes and end families and things like that. And that's a bad thing for us. On the other hand, it's what we get, kind of, for living in areas where this is going to happen. Like if you live in an area that's known to be a floodplain, you have to understand that occasionally there's going to be floods. If you live in an area that's prone to tornado activity, you have to understand that one day your house could get taken by a tornado. I don't want it to happen, and I'm not going to see it happen to you and just be like, "Oh, well, you should have known better." I'm still going to feel like, "Oh man, that sucks. That's too bad." Like, but we should know better. But there's so many of us, we have to build our homes somewhere. So we have a strange relationship with not only wildfires, but with natural disasters. We feel aggrieved. We feel like, oh, we should be able to stop these natural disasters. We should find ways to prevent them from happening. And that's cool and all, but they're going to happen anyway, for the most part, because that's earthquakes are geological processes of the planet. And they'll cause tsunamis and they'll cause different things. And wildfires are, for the most part, a natural process that happens. So you can't really be mad about it. Yeah, you should take precautions, and it is upsetting if it destroys your property or harms your family, and I get that, and I'm not going to dismiss that. But you can't really stop them permanently. It's basically impossible. And if you could, you would be stopping the processes where forests replenish themselves. Now, you can try your best to stop people from setting them deliberately, because that happens, and people are assholes for doing that kind of stuff. But natural occurrences of things, there's not much you can do about it. So that brings me to I'm going to lead into it. Okay. First, the Canadian wildfires this year. In previous years, I don't recall them being so bad that I actually saw smoke here in Ohio. We've had occasions in the past where they said, "Oh yeah, the air quality is going to be poor because of the wildfires. So, stay indoors if you can, or if you've got breathing problems, stay away from it." That kind of thing. And so we've had years where they've said that, and we've stayed indoors and we've stayed away from being outside too much when it reported that the wildfire smoke was rolling on through. But I don't remember a time where we actually could see the smoke here. Like, this is particularly bad. We were able to see the smoke in my neighborhood, and we're south of Cleveland. Like, we're midway down through the state. Okay, we're at the bottom end of northern Ohio and at the upper part of central Ohio. And that it was hazy outside. You could see the smoke. You could smell it. It smelled like there was a house in the neighborhood that was on fire. So of course, my wife, she's got asthma, so she struggled with it, but we got through it. And it was like that for 2 days, at least 2 days. And they said we were supposed to have some more of the smoke yesterday, but we didn't really have much of it. I didn't see it. The air quality wasn't perfect, but I didn't see it in the air. It reminded me of the old days when again they would say the wildfires, and you would know that the air wasn't particularly healthy, but you couldn't really see it so much, and you might have the barest hint of a scent on the air. But this year was bad. This year was different. Now, this year was bad enough that apparently it upset a lot of people in ways that are not in ways where they were personally offended by the country of Canada because of Canada's wildfires. And so, and I haven't delved too deeply into this, so I don't know how much responsibility Canada actually has. I'm going to go over the argument so that we all understand what the argument is. I think it's patently ridiculous, but again, I haven't looked into it too deep, so maybe I'm dismissing it too soon. But certain governmental people, state-wise and federal-wise, are deeply offended by the smoke coming from Canada, and they are now trying to do things like sue Canada, put tariffs on Canada, punish Canada for the smoke that's drifting down, as if Canada itself is as if they're setting fires on the border and putting up giant fans and pushing the smoke down here to take that, Americans. Take that, you people in the United States. You get this smoke. Like, I, it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, the argument from the people in the United States who are offended by the smoke is that Canada has not done their due diligence. They have not handled their forests properly. They have not done controlled burns when they should have to make the regular yearly wildfires not so bad. They haven't done certain things that would have kept the wildfires from being as bad, which would have kept the smoke from invading the United States. And on some level, I get that. I can kind of understand, but at the other hand, it's nature. It's a wildfire. You can't. A wildfire is gonna have smoke. A wildfire is gonna burn. It's gonna cause destruction. And what do you expect a country to do on its border to stop the fires from getting here? I mean, what you can't divert the smoke. You can't control. Well, some people are going to say, well, they can control the weather with the HARP machines, but we're not getting into conspiracy stuff here. That's a whole other bottle of spirits right there. But on the face of it, they can't control what the climate is going to do. They can't control when a wildfire is going to strike. They can do their best to contain it, and maybe that's the issue. Maybe Canada has not done what they should do to try to contain these wildfires in a responsible way. I don't know. I haven't looked into it that deeply. I've only seen what people are saying on the United States side. And apparently it's causing rampant destruction on the Canadian side. Like people are losing their homes, which happens with wildfires. They're losing communities and things. And it's not great for them either. And meanwhile, we're dealing with smoke that's poisoning us. I don't think anybody really is in the wrong here, but I also don't think anybody is in the right here. I think unfortunately it's just something that's going to continue happening. And depending on the direction that the planet takes with the climate, it'll either get better or worse over the next however many years. And as I say that, I'm sure I've got people listening and they'll be like, "What are you saying? Are you saying climate change? Huh? What are you saying about climate change?" Certain people are going to be like, climate change isn't real, blah, 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 blah. We don't like what you're saying. Certain other people are going to be like, hey, you should talk more about climate change because we're definitely at fault and blah, 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 blah. And that I'm not going to get into all of that. I am going to say that the climate on the planet does change on its own naturally in the life cycle of the planet. It always has. For hundreds of thousands of years, we've had ice ages, we've had hot times, we've had massive times when there's greenhouse gases that were before us and during our time here. There's a lot of things that happen that are completely outside of our control as far as the climate. Now, are we responsible for some aspects of the climate changing? Perhaps. I am not going to dismiss that entirely because we do put out a lot of stuff into the air. Okay, we pump out a lot of things with our vehicles and our factories and whatever. And we've got the landfills filled with garbage that never breaks down. So we are responsible for certain things. Are we going to be the ultimate doom of the planet due to pollution and things? No, I doubt it. At worst, we'll be the ultimate doom of ourselves. We'll fade away to a skeleton crew, basically, a bare minimum, and then the planet will replenish itself because that's how nature works. And maybe we'll recover as a species at that point, and maybe we won't. But I don't think that we are going to destroy the planet as far as pollution and climate change goes. I think the planet itself will survive with or without us, and we might as well just try to make it healthier for ourselves while we're here. I don't think we can save the planet because I don't think it needs saving, but I think maybe on some level we need to save ourselves from our own destructive tendencies. You know? I think that's fair. I think that's a fair outlook. I think that's a fair way to look at it. So we've been dealing with the wildfires, we've had the smoke. It was pretty clear today. Today we had storms. We had a lot of rain. And I gotta talk about this. I don't want to name any channels because I don't want to give anybody any extra publicity. I think I've talked about them before. I think I've talked about them before on a previous earlier episode of the show. But let's talk about the YouTube meteorologists. Let's talk about the YouTube meteorologists because today they kind of irritated me. Today they kind of got to me. When I was a kid, you'd see the weather report on the news or whatever on TV when my parents were watching TV, or there'd be a news bulletin and be say, "Hey, the weather is whatever. This is what your outlook is. Have a great week." And then if there were alerts, it would come along the bottom of the screen saying, "Hey, we've got storms coming. We've got this. We've got that." Nowadays, because everybody's connected with the internet, everybody has access to things. You can get access to weather radar stations, and you can do a bunch of stuff. There are YouTube people who their sole YouTube thing, it's not history videos, it's not gaming, it's not product reviews, it's not cartoons or comedy shows. It's weather. They'll do weather forecasts and weather alerts, and when there's bad weather, they might go live and follow the storm chasers and say, "Hey, if you're in this town, you better watch out. This storm is coming your way," and things like that. And on one level, I think that's cool. I think that's fair. Any advanced warning we can get if there's really bad weather, like a tornado or anything like that, or big giant hail, I get it. I'm not against any of that. But as these YouTube meteorologists get more well known, they get popular, they get noticed, they start getting followers, and then they fall into the trap. They cease to become people presenting the weather on YouTube and they become YouTubers. And YouTubers are, of course, minor celebrities. Like streamers and TikTokers and various people. They're minor celebrities if they have any sort of popularity. And people tune in and be like, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? Hey, people tune in more to be entertained than for factual information. And the meteorologists, for the most part, present factual information. Like, hey, this is the forecast, this is what's coming up. We've got some big storms coming in this area of the country, we've got this and that. But they've gotten to the point where now they have gimmicks. Now they have catchphrases. They have their own apps, they have their own merchandise. And most of them all have, when they have their YouTube videos put up, they have these thumbnails which, are thumbnails are a preview picture that's not part of the actual video, but it's a picture that's supposed to illustrate what the video is going to be about and draw you in. And it has a title like this is the storm of the century, and then it shows a picture of a massive storm or something like that, right? And then you tune in, you're like, oh, okay, and they tell you what it's all about, and it might not be actually the storm of the century, but they'll explain it, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm glad I tuned in. But now they have their thumbnails. They show vast swaths of the country in deep reds and oranges, saying, "Disaster is about to strike this week." And then you tune in, and it's a video about, okay, this is your forecast for this week. It looks like there's going to be severe weather here and here. And on the one hand, people will say, oh, well, it's good that they kind of over exaggerate because people will tune in and they'll pay attention. But here in Ohio, I watch the radar from weather.com, from the weather stations, and I pay attention when there's a storm coming to make sure that there's nothing that's going to negatively affect my home or my family. Safety first. And the radar and the projections that I look at are never as dire or as dangerous as what these people exaggerate to say, which makes it look like fear mongering to me. It makes it look like, oh, you better tune in because this is the worst. This is the storm of the decade. It's going to wipe out everything. You better pay attention. And then it ends up being not nearly that bad. But it's for views, it's for clicks, it's for, hey, tune in to me because I'm telling you the weather. And the one guy, I'd been watching his coverage because when there is severe weather, he's usually pretty good about the alerts and telling you what's going on, where in the actual live videos as things are going, he's usually pretty good. I don't care for his forecasts because they're usually wrong. Speaking of here in Ohio, the last three times he's had a forecast video over the past week or two, they've all been wrong. We have not had nearly any anywhere close to the amount of damage that he's predicted. Okay. But during his actual live videos, usually he's on point because he's looking at the data and he's only presenting the data. Today I tuned in and he was promoting a weather game that you can play on mobile that follows the actual weather as it's happening. But you can be involved in it. You can attack the tornadoes with little bits and bobs, and you can drive around and you can do stuff, and it's a game. And I'm kind of like, are you serious? And he was trying to defend it, and the chat was not merciful. The chat that tunes in to watch him, that trusts him with the weather reporting, were like, what are you doing? Get back to the weather. And he kept saying, "Oh, this is the weather. It's presenting." And it's like, no, you're presenting an interactive app-based game involving the weather, as if it's a joke, as if it's all just fun and games. When there's severe thunderstorms and hail and tornadoes and things. So I was gonna watch some of his broadcasts today because there was some supposed to be severe weather today, and I wanted to be find out if it was gonna be anywhere near me. And as soon as that came up, I watched a little bit. I saw what the chat was saying. I saw him trying to defend it, and I turned it off. I was like, no, that's not that's not what I watch you for. You're no longer a meteorologist. You're becoming a YouTube sensation, or at least trying to. You want to be a YouTube sensation. You want to be a YouTuber. You want to be get the followers and market yourself and that kind of stuff. And that's going to lead to problems. No, people are going to tell me, "Well, you're on YouTube. You put all these podcast episodes on YouTube. You put all your Twitch streams on YouTube. Are you saying you're not a YouTuber?" Yeah, I am not a YouTuber because I don't do the celebrity thing. I have merchandise from Uncanny Media, but it covers all aspects of Uncanny Media. It's not specifically designed for the YouTube channel. It's just a side part of the whole thing. I'm an entrepreneur. It's part of the business. I'm not trying to sell you apps based on my game streams. I'm not trying to sell you apps based on my drink reviews. I'm not trying to sell you apps based on my podcast. I'm just looking to entertain you. That's all. I am not a YouTuber. I'm just a guy that uses YouTube. I'm not a I'm not a streamer. I'm a guy who streams on Twitch. If I ever get to be big and famous like some of these guys, will I become a streamer or a YouTuber? I hope not. I hope not. I hope that the audience doesn't turn me into a YouTuber because the title alone is enough to put me off. I'm just a person who presents things on YouTube, who presents things on this podcast. I think that's a trap that's a lot of people fall into. Once you get that level of fame, you feel like you have to perform. You have to be a character. You have to be a caricature of yourself. You can no longer be just who you are. You have to put on a mask. You have to be who the people expect you to be. And that's where your downfall comes in. That's where things get not great. You become insincere. You become a part of the machine. And maybe I'm too invested in the whole punk rock thing where I'm like, I don't want to sell out. I don't want to become part of the machine. I don't want to become that which I hate. Because I used to hate YouTube. I used to not be able to stand it, but it's become like a necessary evil. And I respect parts of it for what it is. By that same token, I won't become a TikToker. I won't use TikTok. I won't become a tweeter. I won't become famous on X and Blue Sky. I'm not going to do that. I'm just trying to entertain people. I'm just trying to talk to you. I don't think I should defend myself because I think I'm doing things fine. But I get so kind of annoyed with people who start off by presenting legitimately good information, like reporting the weather and talking about emergency stuff that's coming up, and then it becomes a gimmick. It becomes a game. It's no longer something that you want to do to help people. It becomes something that you're going to do because now you're famous. It's your thing now, right? And I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. Now, there's other things going on. I've spent a lot of time over the last few weeks talking about the local wildlife. If you don't know what that is, listen to the last several shows. You'll understand. Um, I'm not going to get too into what they're doing right now because it's pretty much more of the same. They talk, they throw fits, they get themselves into trouble. Several of them have had their Facebook pages restricted recently for saying things that they shouldn't. And it happens if you threaten people. It doesn't matter if you say, I'm not threatening, I'm just saying. If you say something that sounds like a threat, it's not what you said, it's what someone heard. And then you have to defend it against what they heard. So a lot of them have had their Facebook profiles restricted or outright banned recently, which is kind of interesting. A case that I've been following this case for a while. About a year ago, maybe longer, there was a woman called PJ. I'm not going to say her full name. I'm not going to say what the PJ stands for or what her last name is because I'm not putting people on blast. I'm just trying to refer to her as something. A woman named PJ. She had initially been attached to the local wildlife, but she started getting kind of out there. She started talking about how there were tunnels under the city and they were trafficking children through the tunnels and there were elite pedophilia groups in the town and they were underground and all this and she got really out there with it. And on the one hand, okay, well people get crazy. It's fine. She was on a campaign where she constantly emailed, private messaged, tagged, and commented on city officials' pages and police pages in her town, which is she lives nearby here, not in exactly where I live, but a very close nearby township. So she's local enough. And she just went nuts. She would just constantly be trying to get these people's attention, emails after emails after emails, and she would put screenshots of the emails on Facebook, and she would send private messages and put screenshots of those and tag them incessantly, send them phone calls, and just really went over the top about it. And they told her not to. They issued her a warning. And she refused, and she was like, "No, you just don't want me talking about it because it's a lead conspiracy and blah blah." And she doubled down, and so they arrested her for telecommunications harassment, which is not a high crime. It's a misdemeanor. It's not ridiculous, but it's a fine and maybe some time in jail, and that's about it. It's not much. They arrested her, and she went, by all evidence, judging by the court docket, she tripled down. She tripled down and she brought up the stuff in all of her hearings and she like wouldn't let go and she kept yelling and talking about it and they had her evaluated. They had gave her a mental evaluation with a court appointed psychologist and the psychologist said that she was mentally disturbed. So they committed her to a behavioral health facility. Apparently, she did not do well there and she lashed out, and they moved her to a second behavioral health facility. It got to the point where they wanted to prescribe her antipsychotic medicine, hoping that it would improve things. She refused to take it, and they had to get a court order to make her take it. Time passed, time passed, and just recently, this past week, they updated her case to say that she was going to be released. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Maybe she got some help. Maybe she's understanding that, okay, I got to calm down. This isn't, you know. But in the notes for the court docket, it says that she's not restorable. And I was like, that sounds ominous. What does that mean? And I looked it up and it said that it means that she's, because she was being in the court system as mentally incompetent. Not because she's an idiot, or because she's stupid, or because she's mentally deficient, but because she's got these mental problems. She's got this paranoia. And so they were putting her through that. It was like not guilty based on mental incompetence. And they were hoping to restore her to competence for the trial so that she could understand, hey, this is why you're being put through the system. But she refused at every turn. And now she's been released as non restorable, which means she hasn't given up. She still believes everything that she was telling them. She's still vocal about it. And they've sent the case to a lower court. They've said, well, you know what? There's not much we can do about it here. We've gone through our part of it, so you guys deal with it. Which means she's probably going to just end up, they're going to charge her with a fine. And they'll probably tell her no contact. They'll tell her no more of this. You can't email us anymore. You can't call us anymore. You can't do this. You pay a fine, you do that, or you're going to be arrested again. So it's going to be probably the lowest penalty that you can get because of the fact that they believe that she's mentally ill and she doesn't understand what she's doing. So I'm interested to see what happens. I'm interested to see if she pops up again in the court dockets as causing an issue. And there are a lot of people like this. There are a lot of people out there that have these conspiracy beliefs and they go so far with them. Like the guy that went into the pizza shop in DC with a weapon and he was like, show me the tunnels. You got kids moving in the tunnels. Ah. And that was the whole Pizzagate thing. And you know what? I don't know. I'm not going to say that the whole Pizzagate thing, I'm not going to say that there's no validity to it because I don't know. Common sense says, well, obviously they're not moving kids through pizza shops and they're not doing this and there's no tunnels underneath. But at the same time, there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in the world. And there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on here in the United States. And there are a lot of trafficking problems. Apparently, Ohio is the number one state of movement for human trafficking. I guess when trafficking occurs, in most cases, it will move through Ohio at least once through part of the process. And I don't know if that just means we're not paying enough attention or that means we have enough rural areas where it's easier to move people through than other spaces. I don't know. I don't know what that means exactly. I just know we're top of the list. We are a hub. for human trafficking, apparently. And that can include illegal immigrants who are being brought through to work against their will, which does happen. It can be children being kidnapped and things, which does happen, unfortunately. I don't know the exact level of it, so I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist and go like and say it's a huge epidemic, but it could just be people being forced into prostitution, which again is a thing that happens because humans are a rotten species sometimes. So some of the things that people claim about this stuff, I can't say that it's not true, but at the same time, some of it gets ludicrous. Like the Q stuff. The Q stuff is ludicrous. It's spread by 50 something year old retired people who have nothing better to do than sit on Facebook all day. And they think that they're part of the anonymous hacker group, and they're not. They call themselves anons. Like, and they call themselves white hats and all these different terms that make them seem like, oh yes, we are tuned in. We have all the information. We're not one of the sheeple, which is such a stupid word. Gosh, I hate it. I hate the word sheeple. I even hate when people are like, you're a sheep. I hate that term these days. It's so overused. Sheep, sheeple, misogynist gets overused. Anytime you have anybody who's male disagree with somebody who's female who might be involved in activism, it's suddenly misogyny. No, maybe we just disagree. Just like when a female disagrees with a male on something, I'm not going to say, oh, it's radical feminism. It's not. It's probably not. It's not radical feminism. It's not misogyny. And come on. Yes, there are many men out there who feel superior to women. Yes, I understand that. And there are just as many women who feel superior to men. It's a thing that's gone back throughout history. But it's not I don't buy into the patriarchy and all that other kind of stuff. I just don't. I think each and all and other genders and non-genders and anybody in between, I think you're all capable of atrocity, of being horrible people to each other, which I find unfortunate. I think we could all just learn to accept our differences a little bit better instead of constantly pointing out what makes us different and trying to glorify some things and bash on other things. I don't think people should be the arbiter of what's good and what's bad personality wise, unless you're like a mass murderer, in which case, absolutely, you're a terrible person. If you're a person who does horrible things to children, yeah, you're a terrible person. Um, there are some indicators that make you a terrible person, but having disagreements, that's that doesn't make you a terrible person. That just makes you having a disagreement. And the issue is that it turns disagreements into hard line beliefs. It turns disagreements into hard line beliefs that are intolerant. And intolerance is an awful, awful thing to have. Intolerance is not good. So we're getting towards the end of the show. We covered some weird areas. We started off with we started off with family trauma and we ended with intolerance for your fellow person. It was an interesting show. I feel like it went by faster than it did. Like it feels like it's already over and I just got started talking. But I'm gonna have another snack. I'm gonna play a few more games before I get to bed. Um, Be good to each other. Be more understanding to each other. Listen to each other. There are times when I say a lot of things that are make a lot of sense, and people out there completely dismiss them because they just don't want to hear it, or they don't like me as a person, or they assume I'm coming from a place of ignorance or something. But I'm just here for your well-being. I'm just here to tell you things that I think are important and to talk about things that I find interesting and to maybe give you a little bit of advice to maybe help you change your mindset. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And I just need you to hear me. I just need you to listen because I'm sincere. I am sincere in what I am saying. And you don't have to believe that if you don't want to. I mean, I know plenty of people who are going to tell me, yeah, you're full of it. But I am. I'm sincere. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean, to, to use a coin of phrase. And I just want to entertain and educate and just give you a reason to keep on going every day. Something to look forward to every week. Okay? But that's it. That's all we're gonna do. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna do different things. Don't forget to tune in next week. We'll have another brand new episode of the show presented by Uncanny Media. We've had incredible numbers lately. Oh my goodness. Like every week the numbers get better. And I can't it boggles my mind. I'm so humbled. I am so humbled that so many people are tuning in and listening to me ramble on about this stuff. Like we're on 74 episodes. 74 episodes plus the bonus, the Oatmeal Festival episode. We're we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. I can't wait to hit 100. I can't wait to hit that 100th episode because oh, it's going to be great. I don't have plans for it. I probably won't have plans for it. You know me, I fly off the seat of my pants. I say things off the cuff. I don't go by a script. I don't pick topics ahead of time for the most part. I have an idea of some things during the week that hey, I'd like to talk about on the show this week, but that's as far as it goes. So, I'm going to keep that energy. I'm going to keep that energy going upwards to the 100th episode and then we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. I'm glad you're here. Have a good night.